Hi everyone, we are so excited to be speaking to you today. My name is Katie and I'm a member of the Texas 4000 2020 team. Now I'm on the Rockies route. Texas 4000 has 3 different routes and they go all over the country. So Rockies goes through the Rocky Mountains, it goes through a ton of beautiful national parks and some really great camping spots. Now unfortunately this summer we're not going to be able to bike through all those areas, but we're still so excited to engage with you virtually and share with you some of our program's presentations. So thank you so much for tuning in and we're really excited to connect with you guys. I'd like to share a few reasons why I ride. And the first reason is for my grandfather on my mother's side. My mom and dad both immigrated to America from China in order to pursue their higher education. And when I was about one years old, when I was just born in New York, my mom found out that my grandfather had leukemia, that it had progressed a lot. He was in the hospital. There was basically nothing that they could do. And she flew back. She spent some of his last weeks with him. And then she came back to the US and he passed away, unfortunately. And I never met him, but Texas 4000 has really opened up a dialogue for me and my mom to talk about the immense loss that she feels and the lack of support system that she has being over here by herself with just me, my brother, and my dad, none of her other family. She's also told me that one thing that she really regrets is at that time they didn't tell my grandfather that he had cancer. And this practice was pretty common in China because at that time Chinese medicine wasn't very advanced, cancer treatment wasn't very advanced, and it wasn't advanced around the world either. And the Chinese had a bit of a fatalistic viewpoint on this. So instead of thinking how we're gonna fight this with when you get diagnosed, it's more of a thought process of, okay, you've been diagnosed with cancer, now there's not much you can do, you just have to accept your fate and your eventual death. So they didn't tell him, they never told him. He probably figured it out at some point along the line, but he died without ever formally having been diagnosed, and that is really heartbreaking to me. So I definitely do ride for knowledge as one of the pillars in Texas 4000. Not just knowledge about the disease and about different ways to prevent it, but even just knowledge of your diagnosis, which is something that a lot of us take for granted. I also ride for my uncle who's currently in China, in Shandong, and he's battling lung cancer. It's pretty scary, especially given, the current restrictions and coronavirus sort of travel restrictions and lockdowns that are going on. It's harder for him to go to Beijing and seek treatment. So that's been something that our family has been dealing with. And lastly, of course, I ride for my teammates. I ride for this wonderful organization. These people have taught me so much about hope, about how to be there for someone, about how to share in others' pain and how to lift other people up. And it just means so much to me to have these people, the support system, who really are fighting every day to spread hope and to carry the stories of others, and that means a lot to me. So I ride for my 2020 team, who I love so much. So what I'm going to be talking about is just a general overview of what cancer is. One of Texas 4000's 3 pillars is knowledge, which we hope to share with communities like yours throughout the 70-day journey that we had planned. But before we fight the disease, we want to understand what it is and how it affects us. So essentially, cancer occurs because the cells in your body are always replicating, some more than others for a healthy person. And the process of cell replication is controlled by a bunch of different proteins. However, cancer is essentially uncontrolled cell replication. So a cancerous cell can replicate as much as it wants, and eventually all of these replicated cells can grow into a mass called a tumor. So if this tumor is malignant, it can spread to other parts of your body and grow there. And the problem is that these cancerous cells are going to take up a lot of resources from healthy cells, they can damage healthy tissue, and they can impair normal function. So cancer can be caused by a lot of different factors. There's biological factors such as inherited genetic defects in your skin type, but there's also preventable lifestyle factors such as UV radiation exposure, diet, and smoking. So we're going to be talking about those and how we can lower the risk of cancer.
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm a 2020 Rockies rider, and today I want to talk to you about cancer treatment. So as we all know, cancer can affect various different parts of the bodies. It can affect people in different ways, and because of that, doctors need a variety of different ways to treat cancer. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the main 4 ways to treat cancer. So the first one, if you have a localized tumor that hasn't left outside of its specific growth spot, usually surgery is the best option. A doctor can go in, surgically remove the tumor, and usually that takes care of the cancerous cells in that area. Usually this is followed with radiation or radiotherapy, and that's essentially when a high dose of radiation is blasted on this tumor area, and the goal of this is to kill the tumor cells, effectively reducing the tumor size. However, if the tumor has gone outside of the primary stages, so it's metastasized throughout the body, usually doctors will choose to use chemotherapy, and this is essentially a low-dose toxin that spreads throughout your body and kills as many tumor cells as it can throughout your body. And then the fourth and final and newest addition to cancer treatment is immunotherapy, and this is essentially where doctors can train your immune system to attack cancer cells, which is great because it doesn't require any chemicals, radiation, or any other harsh therapies. It's your own body producing its own fight against its own cancer cells. So this is really exciting, and the goal of most of these therapies is to help the patient into a state of remission, where their symptoms are barely visible or diminished to such a point where it doesn't affect their lives anymore. And although remission isn't necessarily a cure, this is the goal for most of these therapies since it helps people return to a state of normalcy. And throughout all of cancer therapeutics, we're seeing so many strides throughout the past years. People are making really exciting advances in research, and we're so excited as a team to see that and to share that with you all. And I guess as a team at large, Texas 4000 is always, striving for a world in which cancer is a curable disease. And then until that happens, we're going to be riding for everybody who's battled this disease, regardless of the outcome.
Howdy, my name is Race. I'm going to be talking about prevention and how diet and exercise and self-examinations can help us with that. So, self-examinations are one of the most useful tools we have in cancer prevention. For testicle and breast cancer, we have 2 self-examinations that can be really useful. So for both of these examinations should take place about once a month, and it's helpful if it's in the morning, like when we're taking a shower. And for a testicular self-examination, you want to be feeling the testicles for any change in consistency, size, or shape, and feeling for any hardened knots or lumps. And for the breast self-examination, just like we do in the testicle examination, you can do this in the morning while you're showering. You want to feel from the entire breast area all the way up to the armpits, and you're feeling for any change in consistency, size, shape. You're feeling for lumps, anything out of the ordinary that might have changed recently. And then also you can raise your arms and check for any change in coloration or texture, like if there are dimples that haven't been there before. For skin malignancies, skin cancer, or melanoma, we're going to be using the A, B, C, D, E's of testing. So the A is going to be for asymmetry. If you're looking at a mole and you draw a line down the middle and it's even on both sides, then it passes that test. The B is for border. So if the border is uneven or if it's not smooth, then that's typically a sign of the possibility of cancer. The C is for color, and so a normal mole might just be a single shade of brown, but skin cancer might have multiple shades, or you might see some redness or purple, in which case you should take note of that. The D is for diameter, and so any mole shouldn't be any bigger than the eraser on a pencil. And then the E is for evolving. So if there are any changes in coloration, elevation, texture, if there are new symptoms that arise like bleeding or itching, then that's something to take notice of. And one important thing to recognize whenever we're using self-examinations are, although these are very useful tools, they're tools that we should only use to prompt ourselves to visit the doctor, because any self-examination isn't necessarily significant of a malignant cancer. And so it's really important that we put into context the information that these self-examinations do provide. And now I want to talk about diet and exercise and how that can contribute to our overall health and in the context of cancer prevention. So healthy eating and engaging in physical activity has been shown to reduce the risk of cancer. And so I want to give you 3 tips on healthy eating that can help us achieve these goals. So the first one is maintaining a healthy weight. This ultimately boils down to calories in and calories out, which means that holding ourselves accountable to the types of foods that we put into our bodies, and also our eating habits, these can have a really big influence on our ability to maintain a healthy weight. The second thing is eating whole foods over processed foods. Whole foods include things like fruits, vegetables, and processed foods include things like lunch meats or other products that typically don't have an expiration date, or you can find it at a gas station. This is really important because the chemicals that can be used in the process of making those processed foods can contribute to certain health risks. And the third thing is we want to be mostly eating our calories, which means that we're mostly drinking water and we're drinking a lot of it. And this allows us to have a better understanding or a better idea of what calories we're consuming and what nutrients we're getting from our eating habits. And regarding exercise, the American Cancer Society recommends about 150 minutes of moderate exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise spread throughout the week in about at least 3 sessions. And not only does this improve cardiovascular health, but also this can reduce our risk for cancer. And I think that a balance of diet and exercise is really important in maintaining our health, and also looking in the future and preventing cancer or other chronic diseases like heart disease. Thanks.
Among the many risk factors that can increase the risk for cancer, smoking and alcohol addiction are big ones. They can increase the risk of mouth, esophageal, lung, and other cancers. Through my experience in T4K, I realized that one of the pillars that resonated the most with me has been hope. When I was 2 years old, my family moved from France, and my mother had a very hard time integrating to American society. She had no support network and through also a language barrier. And over the years, she developed a drinking problem. My sister and I were too young to realize what was going on when it first happened, but over the years, we realized that she needed our help. Today, my mom is now aware of the issue, and she's making steps towards her recovery, and I'm very grateful for everything that she has done up till now. I believe that it was through the strength that we gave her, and especially the belief and the hope that we had in her, that she could have the strength to improve. That is one of the main reasons why I hold T4K so close to my heart, is because of the sharing of our struggles and the hope and the strength that we can give each other. I continue to write for my mother so that she can have a healthy life. I believe that no matter the decisions made, the circumstances, everyone has a right to a cancer-free, healthy life. I write for anybody who is struggling with addiction, and I write for the hope and strength that we can give each other through the sharing of our struggles.
One of the things that Texas 4000 is so excited about is the power of cancer research. We think that cancer research can generate so much hope and knowledge for not only the physicians working on cancer, but also the patients who receive cancer diagnoses. Every year, Texas 4000 funds a great deal of cancer research projects and support services throughout the country. Just here locally in Austin, we funded things like Dell Medical School, UT's biomedical engineering program, and MD Anderson. But we've also provided funding for research institutions and support services throughout the country, especially along the 3 routes that we ride on. And one of the most exciting things about cancer research, especially T4K's involvement in it, is to see the ways that it's already taken root in our community. So UT actually provided the seed funding for Dr. Livia Eberlin's lab, which developed the mass spectrometry pen right here at UT. So what this pen does is a surgeon can take it in surgery, point it at a patient's tissue, and it'll tell you if it's cancerous or if it's healthy. And this has changed the way in which physicians can treat cancer surgically because this makes it a lot safer for the patient because they're not getting their healthy tissue cut, and they're making sure that it's a lot more efficient by just isolating the cancerous tissues and removing those. And this is something that Texas 4000 is so proud to have been a part of. Dr. Eberlin actually won the MacArthur Genius Grant for her work, so this is incredibly exciting work, and it's transforming the ways in which cancer is treated today. Outside of the research that Texas 4000 funds, many of our teammates actually have plans to go into medicine and research and are really excited about the ways that cancer research can transform the lives of patients everywhere. In my own lab, I work with aptamers, which are small molecules that already exist in your body. They're just small pieces of DNA, but can be chemically modified to bind to anything. So currently right now, there's research being done on how to get these aptamers to deliver drugs just to cancer cells. And this is great because it allows chemo treatments not to affect your entire body. Instead, it brings the chemo directly to the cancer cell, killing that and leaving the healthy cells completely unharmed. And outside of my own lab, these developments are happening all over the country in labs everywhere. And it's so exciting to see the ways in which cancer research is already taking off and how fast it's beginning to develop in just the past couple of years. So, you know, even though we aren't able to ride this summer, engage in the communities we wanted to, we're so excited to get out into the world and continue the fight against cancer, you know, beyond our time in T4K.